Welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Matt.
Matt, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was a very famous children's novel that, of course, was also made into a very adventurous, colorful movie.
Yeah, well, I think there have actually been a few movies inspired by this novel. But yeah, I really remember the famous Disney movie that I watched when I was a kid.
Right. And there was also a live action one with Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about that one, actually.
Well, what are some other children's stories that were made into movies that you like?
Well, another Disney movie was The Little Mermaid, and that was inspired by a story that was about a little mermaid.
Right. Well, I can also think of, I believe he's one of our favorite authors, Roald Dahl.
Oh, yes.
Several of his books were made into movies.
That's right.
Well,
James and the Giant Peach.
Right, and of course, Matilda.
Okay, yeah.
And Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the most famous.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Right, and even before that, just the original one, Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
That's right.
Okay, is that... Okay, I forgot, I got the names mixed up, but I do love those movies. And then even newer, there's a newer movie which is inspired by the characters from that called Wonka.
Yeah, and that one is a musical. So it's really interesting to see the books that we read as children and made it into the big screen for us to see. So all of our imagination while we're reading those books and then to see it come alive in front of us.
That's right, yeah.
That's very interesting.
That's why these books make such great movies, and that's why Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is such a great story to be made into a movie. So let's learn more about this story as we get into part 2.
Before long, Alice finds things to eat and drink. They make her shrink and grow in size. As the changes happen, Alice goes from place to place and meets strange characters. One is the Cheshire Cat. It appears and disappears when it wants. It also directs Alice to the Hatter and March Hare. They're having a tea party when Alice finds them.
Hello everyone, so today we're looking at part 2 of our story, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So in part 1, we learned that Alice was, by the edge of the river when she saw a white rabbit, and the white rabbit pulled out a watch and talked about how it was late for something. The rabbit then took off down a rabbit hole and Alice decided to follow it. Once she fell into the rabbit hole, she found herself in a strange new world. And there she saw a tiny door, and then she thought it was a good idea to try to go through the tiny door, but she couldn't fit because it was tiny and she was not. Okay, so let's find out what happens in the rest of this story.
Okay, so let's get back to the story. Before long, Alice finds things to eat and drink. They make her shrink and grow in size. I'm starting to think Alice she's really not afraid of anything because she just fell into this new world and there's all this strange food and drinks on the table and she just picks it up and eats it?
Just try different foods. Maybe she was hungry. You never know. All right, well, the food had some strange effects on her because it made her shrink and grow in size. So to shrink is a verb and it means to become smaller or less. So something can become smaller in size or less in the amount of something. So, for example, you shouldn't wash your clothes in hot water because they might shrink. And I often do that. Every time I go back to Canada, They more commonly use hot water to wash things and then put things in the dryer and all my clothes shrink. Okay, continuing with the article. As the changes happen, Alice goes from place to place and meets strange characters.
Okay, so I guess she ate the food that made her shrink, and then so she fit through the door.
Fit through the door now. Okay. So the food was a good thing to eat.
Okay.
Okay, so she met some strange characters. So character can mean the people or the things that interact and talk that are in a story or a movie. But in this case, we talk about strange characters. You mean the people that you see, and these ones are strange, they're weird.
Right.
They're not normal.
And character is also the way a person behaves or their personality, and that's what makes a person a character. And in this case, she has come to this wonderland of characters, and especially strange characters. So one is the Cheshire Cat. It appears and disappears when it wants.
Okay, and you can always see its smile. It has a famous smile that people call the Cheshire Cat grin, which is a very wide grin.
Right. Okay, so the Cheshire Cat, it disappears and appears whenever it wants to. So if it doesn't want to be seen, it disappears. So the verb disappear is to basically become not visible or invisible, and sometimes to basically to just be gone as a whole, okay? So if you want something to disappear, you move it away, or if you see something disappear into thin air. So for example, maybe as the weather changes, a cloud will disappear into thin air, okay? So when something disappears, it's not seen or it doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so let's see what this disappearing cat does. It also directs Alice to the Hatter and March Hare. They're having a tea party when Alice finds them. Okay, so we've got two new characters, a Hatter and a March Hare.
Okay, so a hare is basically like kind of like a rabbit, but it's a lot bigger and it's got longer ears.
They're quite wild and fast running, and they're much larger than a rabbit.
Right.
So they're like a rabbit, but not a rabbit. You might see one and think that looks like a really big rabbit, but it's actually a hare.
So another famous hare would be the
Tortoise and the hare.
That's right. Okay, so the Cheshire Cat leads and directs Alice to the Hatter and the March Hare. So they're new characters. When something or someone directs you to something, it's basically pointing you towards the direction or the path to something else, or they want to lead you somewhere. And you can also direct people by giving them different words or cues to help people behave a certain way or do something. So for example, an actor can receive directions to do a certain thing. So if I ask you, Matt, you are sad now. That's right. But I don't want you to be that sad. Okay, so you're directing something, okay? You're helping someone to do something. So she is led to these two new characters.
Right, but you know what? Sadly, it's time for us to take a break.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
After a while, Alice realizes that they're mad. She leaves and notices a door in a tree. She walks through it, and she's back at the beginning of her journey.
Are you smiling like the Cheshire Cat?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we found out that Alice tried some food, which made her shrink and grow. And then she, I guess, went through the tiny door and found some characters such as the Cheshire Cat, who was a cat that could disappear and appear when it wanted. And she also was directed by the cat to meeting these other two strange characters who were a hatter and a March hare.
So I wonder what happens after she meets them. Because the March hare and the hatter, they're having a tea party.
Right.
Okay, so let's find out what she does when she joins them. After a while, Alice realizes that they're mad. Wow.
Mad as in angry?
No, they're not angry. They're not throwing cupcakes around. They're mad as in they're a little bit cuckoo, a little bit crazy.
Okay.
So in this case, mad as an adjective, or this adjective, this meaning, is not angry mad, but you're describing someone to be a little bit mentally unstable or mentally ill. They seem kind of crazy, or they're doing things that are just not normal. Okay, so maybe sometimes if you see your friend do something that they wouldn't usually do, you can say, "Are you mad? Why would you grab that hot plate with your bare hands?"
Right, so the same as saying, "Are you crazy?"
Right.
Okay, continuing with our article, she leaves and notices a door in a tree.
Ooh,
Another door. So when she sees doors, she goes through them. Continuing on, she walks through it and she's back at the beginning of her journey.
Wait, so she walked through that door in the tree and...
Yeah. She's back at the beginning of her journey.
Oh.
Okay. So first, she noticed a door, and to notice something means to become aware of something or to start to know about something. Often we'll use this if you see something. If you, for example, see a rat in the corner of the room, then you'd say, "I noticed a rat in the corner of the room."
Or, "I noticed that you're wearing a new color today."
That's right, I am. Thank you for noticing.
Okay, so she went through this door in the tree, which led her back to the beginning of her journey. This is a bit hard to understand for me. Like, how do you get through a door and then... Okay, so basically, beginning is the start of an event or going back all the way to when something first started. In this case, Alice now is going back to the beginning, which I think is back to where she first fell through the rabbit hole, where she has all that food and the things to drink.
Right, where she first began her beginning in this Wonderland.
Okay, well, this is getting a little confusing, but I'm sure the story is going to get very exciting when we return tomorrow for part 3 of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Before long, Alice finds things to eat and drink. They make her shrink and grow in size. As the changes happen, Alice goes from place to place and meets strange characters. One is the Cheshire Cat. It appears and disappears when it wants. It also directs Alice to the Hatter and March Hare. They're having a tea party when Alice finds them. After a while, Alice realizes that they're mad. She leaves and notices a door in a tree. She walks through it and she's back at the beginning of her journey.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看一下这一课的重点单字。第一个 disappear 动词消失不见。The stars disappeared as the sun rose. 随着太阳升起，星星就消失了。下一个单字 mad 形容词发疯的、疯狂的。Mike went mad after losing everything. 失去一切后 Mike 发疯了。下一个单字 notice 动词注意到、察觉。Mia didn't notice the cat sleeping on the chair. 米娅没有注意到猫睡在椅子上。最后一个单字 beginning 名词开始起点。The beginning of the movie was very exciting. 这部电影的开头非常精彩。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 in size 尺寸上尺寸方面，这是一个介系词片语。我们来看看这个例句。The crack in the wall is growing in size. 墙上的裂缝越来越大了。Crack 指的是裂缝。下一个文法 A directs B to A 指引 B 去哪里 ？Direct 的意思是为谁指路。我们来看看这个例句。The map directs tourists to the main attractions. 地图指引游客前往主要景点。Attraction 指的就是景点。以上就是这一课的重点单词跟文法，我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hey, it's KiWi on the street.
I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie. And today I'm really excited because my friend is visiting me all the way from Arkansas.
What, Winnie?
You know the state in America, Arkansas?
You mean Arkansas?
Oh.
Looks like it's time to work on some pronunciation. Let's work on some pronunciations. All right, can you read this sentence for me, please?
The farm has a lot of produce.
The farm has a lot of produce.
What about this?
The factory produces cars.
The factory produces cars.
Yes, very good. What did we learn today?
Let's work on our pronunciations. There are some words that we pronounce them the same way, but because we change the emphasis of parts of the words, it changes the meaning. So for today, we have the word produce or produce. So when we emphasize the first half of produce with pro, then we're talking about the noun, meaning fruits and vegetables. So our example sentence is, the farm has a lot of produce. So let's change the emphasis to the second half of the word, produce, with deuce going upwards. And that is our verb that means to create or bring something forth. So for example, the factory produces cars. And that's all we have for today. KiWi later.